Hey, did you see Roseanne's live shot today?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So Roseanne was up at the top of the Sears Tower.
Yes.
Or was it the, oh no, was it Hancock?
It's the leaning one.
Yeah, the tilt. Wherever the tilt is.
Yeah.
And that's not something I would voluntarily do.
Yeah, because you're scared.
Yeah.
What is it, National Face Your Fears Day?
National Face Your Fears Day. Do you have a phobia that you would, you know, not necessarily face today, but do you have one?
A phobia?
It's out there.
Not that's off the top of my brain. You have one of heights.
Heights, definitely not a fan.
I can't really think. I'm not really super. I mean, I wouldn't really be pumped or psyched to hold a big spider. Like, that was kind of the question, is like, which one would you do?
Yeah, you'd choose the, because Roseanne held both a snake and she let a tarantula crawl on her.
Oh, she did.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
I heard it. I didn't see it, but.
Oh, yeah. No, I'd choose the snake.
You'd choose the snake
over the
tarantula.
Yeah, I would too. But those are common ones.
Yeah.
If I'm walking out in my garage and I come face to face with a big spider, like the one that was my friend. Remember I told you we have coffee together in the morning in the garage?
In the garage. That was a sizable spider.
Sizable spider. As long as they keep their distance, like, I'm cool. By the way, yesterday, speaking of insects, if you guys have flies in your house, and I know it's that time of year for like wasps, but flies too, they sell these sticky traps that you can stick on your window. This is just a PSA. On your window, it has like a strip that you can peel off the back. The bugs are like attracted to this thing, because I feel like these flies, they go to the windows and then they get stuck, which is kind of sad. We had a couple wasps, 2 yesterday, land on this sticky trap, and I felt horrible.
You did? Isn't that the whole point?
Well, I don't know why I feel worse when the wasps land on it versus the flies. And those wasps are nasty. One of them stung my mom in the backyard the other week.
Was it a yellow jacket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 of them got stuck on there. How are the bugs at your house right now?
Let's see. Well, you'd think I'd be like frightened of spiders now. I think there are fewer now, but they were, I mean, it's been a big
You had like
year.
an infestation of wolf spiders.
I mean, they were everywhere.
So you remember how I posted there was grasshoppers everywhere in Northwest Indiana just as of late? The newest bug that has come out is the stink bug. They're everywhere.
Yes, yes.
The stink bugs.
Yes.
It's their time to shine.
Stink bugs are, yeah, exactly. So hopefully everyone's arachnophobia, snake phobia, I don't know. This is the day to at least acknowledge it.
Yeah.
At least acknowledge it. We got some trending stories to get to before we're joined by our first guest, who you will probably recognize if you watch TV. Her resume. We're going to be joined by Molly Parker. And her TV resume is pretty impressive. She's going to be talking to us in a short time about Doc. Yes, which is right here on Fox. We got some trending stories to get to, though, Caitlin. There's a doctor that is going to be joining us in a short time who is challenging the norms of cancer recovery with like a regular household item.
So we get to dive into that.
We're gonna dive into that. We're also going to be speaking with, imagine being so charismatic that you get a Netflix series and you get a live show at the Cadillac Palace Theatre. He's the owner, he's the principal of a racing team. He's not even a driver, F1, okay? But this guy is at the center. His name is Guenther Steiner, and he is right now the star of the Netflix docuseries. It's called Drive to Survive, and he's got a one-night show at the Cadillac Palace Theatre. So we get to meet him.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, apparently he's an absolute hoot.
A couple news headlines too to kind of pass.
Yeah, exactly. Nearly 245,000 pounds of pasta has been recalled in connection with a deadly listeria outbreak. This is no bueno. Thousands of pounds of ready-to-eat pasta products, they've been recalled. This is a listeria outbreak. It's killed 4 people, and it's been sold from the big time, the big 3 here: Walmart, Kroger, Trader Joe's. So this just came out. So heads up there. It is, the brand is Nate's Fine Foods. And then Fresh Realm. If you got anything labeled Fresh Realm or Nate's Fine Foods, that's what you need to be aware of. It's across 15 different states, and again, it's killed 4 people and hospitalized about 24. So heads up there. That's one trending story. Also, Caitlin, will you give us our MTV?
Yeah,
news?
yeah.
That's another trending story. We reported this on Good Day.
So MTV is reportedly shutting down 5 of its music channels in the UK. So when I first heard this title, MTV was shutting down, I thought it was going to be in the United States. Turns out it's just in the UK. The television channel will stop broadcasting its MTV Music, MTV 80s, MTV 90s, Club MTV, and MTV Live channels. I didn't even know there were that many of these. According to the Newsweek and BBC, its flagship MTV HD will remain on air, and its American MTV channels, including all of them, the MTV, MTV2, MTV Live, unaffected. And this is going to start on Wednesday, December 31st. MTV. So the programming in the 2000s were The Real World, Teen Mom, and Jersey Shore. I'm not surprised by this.
It seems like it's been, like, they've been gradually, like, no pun intended, turning the volume down on the actual music on MTV over the decades.
Yeah.
I remember when it was The Real World, that first season of The Real World, and then they started doing, what was it, not Road Rules, Road Rules?
Yeah, Road Rules. Yeah, yeah.
And
but
then,
remember before that, where that was just the place to watch music videos?
Right.
Like that was, they would just have
Are you
them
old
on all
enough
the
to remember
time.
that, Caitlin?
I do remember that.
Yeah, I can barely remember it, but I do remember looking forward to seeing the videos for, this is when I was a young kid, Thriller by Michael Jackson, and then I always liked when the song Uptown Girl by Billy Joel came on. The young, little Anthony Ponce, I loved Uptown Girl, you know that song. We had the record and everything.
Yeah.
And Billy Joel and Christy Brinkley was in the, oh man.
Wow.
But MTV no longer really focused on music, so the music videos are all on YouTube now.
Right, exactly. It'll be interesting to see the future of MTV and also like other things. You know, speaking of 90s, Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel, all of these shows. I just wonder how things are going to be condensed, especially because Disney has their own app now, their own streaming service. Are they really going to have like the Disney Channel separate from that? I don't know. It just, you know.
I am like navigating this whole like playing field with all the subscriptions
apps.
you need, the apps you need, like the live TV apps, and like what does that come with? You have to like piecemeal your.
It's so annoying.
It really
it's
is.
The
like
worst.
I can't even off the top of my head name all the little $8.99 subscriptions that we have in our household, and if they're if there's a way to just like
there is. Do you want to know?
Consolidate.
What about consolidate? But to get the list, do you remember when we spoke about finances last week, I think?
Sure.
I know our guest is here, but really quick, hot tip for you. We mentioned Rocket Money is an app that you can get for free. It's the one where they say, oh, we'll lower your payments. But what they also do is they get all of your subscriptions from, if you log in with your bank account, your subscriptions, and it'll show you when they're going to come out. So, because you can get lost signing up for these things.
Completely, and then forget.
Yeah, or it'll be like, I sign up for it, and then Grady doesn't know, my husband, and then down the road, he signs up for it. I'm like, how do we have 2 of these accounts?
And then the free trial,
and
then you forget to cancel the free trial, and then they make it so hard to cancel.
It's the worst. Okay, so get that app, and then you can kind of get a hold of those things.
Okay, our next guest is here, but before we get to her, a new episode of Doc is airing tonight at 8 p.m.
Anything?
Nothing new.
So all you've got is cake, wine, and flowers?
And scotch, which Joan must have been drinking. I remembered her at the dinner. She was telling me to leave Michael.
And why am I hearing about this now?
I'm sorry, it should have been the first thing I said when I got here this morning, but I know how you used to feel about her. And I wanted to see if the TMS would shake something loose. Give me some context.
The context is she preferred the version of you that didn't have a life beyond medicine.
So I told you about this back then?
Nope, but I know how she thinks.
You really don't trust her, do you?
Never did. Never will. But I know she's done some good things for you.
She championed me.
I never thought you needed that.
Right. Same time tomorrow?
Depends. Still no side effects?
Little headache. Nothing worrisome.
So good. Good morning. Can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you. Hi.
Hi, Molly.
Molly Parker from Doc. So
Where are you joining us from this morning?
This morning, well, we're shooting the show right now. We're shooting season 2, and we shoot in Toronto. So
Okay.
that's where I am.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in a place I'm renting here.
Oh, nice. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your show. So this is including Amy, Jake, and new intern Hannah. They investigate a college student's sudden blindness in the all-new Something to Prove episode of Doc airing tonight at 8 p.m. So season 2 just kicked off. How does it compare to those who watched season 1 and fell in love to season 1?
I think it's, I mean, look, I'm in the middle of shooting it, so I'm, every day, I'm like a few episodes ahead of what's airing right now. This season, because we have 22 episodes this season, we're sort of able to delve into the relationships a little bit deeper and sort of learn more about Jake and Michael and, everybody's life and past outside the show. But fundamentally, it's still very much Amy's story. She is trying to get her memory back. I think she feels very sort of split. Like she feels like what she remembers is 8 years ago, and she's sort of stuck in that place. And everyone else has moved on, and she wants to be able to move on. So, yeah.
So we're talking to you as you guys are shooting the second season. How much anticipation for you as an actor is there to read the script for the upcoming episode? Like, what is that like mentally to go through?
You have no idea. It's so exciting. I mean, I know where the show's going, and the writers have, we've talked about what their ideas are for this season and where they're taking the show. But the sort of specifics of it to really, when those new scripts come out, it's really exciting. We have one of the crew members the other day was like, "Oh, did you read it? Did you read episode 12? I can't stand it. Like I read, It's like people binge the scripts. Do
you have a ritual when it comes to that? Do you go off and read it on your own, like kind of internalize it and then do like a table read? Like what is the routine?
I mean, I read it on my own for sure. And we always do a table read before we start shooting the next episode. But it's all, it's like a constant work in progress. So until it's done, until you see it on Tuesdays at 9, it's getting worked on until the very last second.
Oh, really?
Okay, so you've done Westerns, you did House of Cards, now you're working in a medical drama. What is that like? Does it bring extra layers of challenge? You have to know how to say certain things or make it make sense to you. And then also, how do you carry it into your personal life? When you go to the doctor, are you like, oh, I know what you're talking about?
Oh.
Yes and yes. Okay, the best part is I get to wear scrubs a lot of the day. It's the most fantastic costume, so comfortable. And the hardest part is just doing justice to the 12, 15 years of schooling that physicians go through to have the knowledge that I pretend to have every day. So that is the most difficult part of my job, is to understand the procedures that I'm talking about and trying to perform, and then just sort of saying it like it just comes naturally, like I've known it for years and years,
What's the secret to coming across for you? Any secrets in coming across credible when you have to play this character? Do you go down like internet wormholes regarding the procedure itself, so that background info is like floating around in your brain?
I definitely do some research around like what I have to know what I'm talking about. I don't need to understand it on a deep level, but I need to understand, and gosh, we also have a really great, we have a man who works for us, who he's not a physician, but he worked like in emergency medicine for a long time as a medic, and he is phenomenal. So he teaches us everything we need to know. But thank God it's not theater. That's all I can say. And we get more than one shot at it.
Oh,
you know?
gotcha.
The practice run-throughs.
Yeah.
Yes.
A couple takes.
You can try to say it again. Yeah.
I'm curious too, as an actor in a medical drama. I know, like looking back to Grey's Anatomy, for example, doctors and nurses will watch that show as kind of a lethargic, way to decompress in the afternoon. I've heard that it's very realistic. Have you heard from the medical professionals? Are they ever like, that's not right? Or are they just supportive of you guys portraying doctors?
Well, I try, like, for my own sanity, I just don't go on the internet. Basically, like, I just don't read anything that people are saying because it's better for me not to know.
Yes.
But the few healthcare workers that I have in my life, they're like, yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, the truth is, our show, we all want the medicine to be credible, but it's the human stories that I think are the most important to our show. It's what's going on between.
Let's dive in there a little bit before we let you go, Molly. What would you say to someone who has not seen the show yet in terms of these human stories and the dynamics that are at play with season 2? Why should they tune in?
It's a fascinating scenario. We've got a medical procedural and all the really, the things that people love about those shows, but at the center of it is this woman's struggle to figure out who she is and who she wants to be. And that's yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to tune in. I'm excited.
Love it. Yeah, Jim Selly down there. She's like, you're talking to Molly Parker. She's fantastic. Thank you so much. Look forward to tuning in. Good luck with season 2.
Yeah, congrats on season 2.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us from Canada this morning.
Yes, my pleasure.
Have a great day.
Good luck, Molly. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it a lot.
Bye.
We're going to kind of continue when we come back after a short break with this medical theme. How far would you go to heal your body from within? Dr. Peter Sulack is a recent cancer survivor. Doctors gave him, get this, a 1% chance of surviving the form of cancer that he got. But he found something that kind of broke with the norms of a typical cancer recovery, not with drugs, pharmaceuticals, anything like that, but with something found in nearly every kitchen, baking soda. Can't wait to talk to him about this. He will be joining us via Zoom when we come back right after this.
22, welcome back. So now we're talking about baking soda and cancer. You heard us right. So how far would you go to heal your body from within? We're joined by Dr. Pete Sulack. He actually is a healthcare provider, recent cancer survivor, and is connecting baking soda to recovery from cancer. Thank you so much for joining us, doctor.
Absolutely. It's an honor to join you guys.
So my first question for you is, can you take us back in your experience of getting the diagnosis and your recovery from cancer and where you're at today?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, November 25th was a Monday of Thanksgiving, and I went to the doctor and they diagnosed me with a grade 4 astrocytoma and gave me a 1% chance to be alive still in 8 months. And I determined, you know, we were going to kind of fight this. And I felt like for my wife and my 4 boys, 2 of them are married, that, hey, let's do everything we can to establish the terrain of my body so that cancer was no longer hospitable in my body. And I just had an MRI here a month ago at the 10.5-month mark. And they said I had a normal brain, no evidence whatsoever of cancer. I just had a CT scan a few days ago, no evidence of cancer. So I'm very, very thankful.
So you are right now 10.5 months out from that diagnosis?
Yeah, 10.5 months. And yeah, honestly, I feel like it's just the grace of God. And
wow.
Now we just hope to empower people that cancer doesn't have to be a death sentence for people. It's you can beat this, and it's not even about treating cancer, it's about establishing the terrain of the body in such a way that cancer is no longer hospitable in the body. And so that internal terrain, opening up detoxification pathways, restoring fluidity of the cell membrane, alkalizing the body, and so forth. And baking soda is actually one of those things that is cheap, everyone has it, and it's just an effective way to actually alkalize the body, improve digestion, increase oxygenation of the cells. A very, very powerful tool.
Can you give us layman's terms? I've heard this phrase, alkalize or alkaline, what it means just in layman's terms, does it mean to alkalize your body?
Well, I'll tell you this. So the opposite of alkalinity is acidity. So when the body is acidic, and it creates inflammation, and that becomes a breeding ground for cancer. So anything we can do to alkalize the body and move it away from an acidic environment, in an inflamed environment, to a more alkaline environment was actually help just establish the terrain. It's going to oxygenate the cells and really put the body in a position to heal.
So before we get into how you incorporated baking soda into your diet and how you discovered that it would get rid of the acidity in your body, can you talk to us about how you changed your lifestyle going from before you had the cancer diagnosis to after, and in all the ways? Nutrition, I'm sure that you incorporated some sort of exercise too, perhaps that's different than what you were doing before?
Yeah, so there's really 5 key pillars that were part of my strategy. Diet, and the more personalized my diet could be, the better. Detoxification, supplementation, oxygenation, and faith, keeping perspective in the midst of everything that we're going through. And that's one of the biggest things for people, is making sure that you keep perspective. And so my diet is very, very personalized. In fact, I actually ran functional blood work to determine exactly the foods that I can eat and not eat, the supplements. I looked at any DNA mutations, like an MTHFR or a COMT mutation, to determine, okay, is my body converting the raw materials that I'm eating into a usable form? And so I really looked at all the different variables to establish my body to make it really resilient and put in a position that cancer just couldn't survive. Because if cancer could survive in my brain, a tennis ball sized tumor, then how could we kind of recreate the terrain of my body so that cancer just couldn't live anymore?
So it was it's quite sizable tumor. Right on top here, is that where you were at 10 months ago?
Yes. So I have a 10-inch scar right here. There's a tennis ball sized tumor affecting my speech and motor control. I had surgery December 11th, and they thought they removed about 90%. There's about 10% that was left affecting speech and motor control. They didn't actually know when I got out of surgery if I'd be able to walk or talk. They didn't really know what to think. And just because of how it was affecting my brain. But now, the doctor said there's no sign of any tumors at all, any cancer growth. And I just had, like I said, a CT scan a few days ago, and they said they couldn't believe it. And
That's
so now I have
unbelievable.
people all over the world reaching out saying, what did you do?
Yeah, how did you do it? And basically, I mean, I like that phrasing, how you said, I'm going to make my body a very inhospitable environment for cancer. All right, tell us day to day, in terms of your diet, how you did incorporate baking soda. Was it just like taking a teaspoon of it or what?
Yeah, so in the morning, one of the number one ways I try to alkalize my body and detoxify my body is just 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda in some water mixed with some lemon, a few drops of essential oil or a lemon squeezed in there. It's a great way to flush the kidneys, to flush the liver. You can also put it in your coffee. Coffee is predominantly acidic, and so 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda in your coffee. Now, I encourage you to get an aluminum-free organic baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. But it's just very, very effective. And so for me, I knew that I had to go all in. I couldn't afford to guess anymore. I had to make sure that everything I was putting in my body were starving cancer rather than fueling it and feeding cancer.
Oh my God.
So speaking of starving the cancer, I've heard of people going on liquid diets or fasting for
Right.
days on end to kind of kill any inflammation or cancer in their body. Is that something you incorporated as well?
Yeah, I just came off a 72-hour water fast, which increases what's called autophagy and apoptosis. It's really programmed cell death. And so it just really allows you to just establish the body. Now, I don't encourage anyone to go do a 72-hour water fast without medical supervision, but typically throughout the week, I try to do intermittent fasting. I try to once a week fast from a Sunday night early dinner to a Monday night late dinner, just to give my body a break, digestion a break, and just to really kind of just allow just toxins and everything to come out of my body.
That's fascinating. So that's a weekly kind of ritual for you from Sunday evening and all the way until Monday evening.
Yes, especially when your life is on the line and no one gives you a chance to live, you want to do everything that you can, because I still feel like there's a purpose left for me to live on this earth, and I want to do everything I can to just steward over my body and make sure I'm doing everything I can, not taking for granted the gift of life.
And one of the ways you are using that gift is through being very public about what you have gone through. Will you tell folks how they can learn more about your journey, your actual diagnosis, and learn about some of the things you've done diet-wise and lifestyle-wise to thrive?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Instagram and Facebook, at Dr. Pete Sulack, you can follow my journey. I asked my wife on Thanksgiving, 3 days after I was diagnosed, can we invite people into this journey with us? And obviously she was a little bit apprehensive, but agreed to it. And I just said, if we're going to go out, we might as well go out swinging and inspire as many people as we can. So you can follow my story on Instagram and Facebook, Dr. Pete Sulack. And you can download a free 87-page protocol called my Resilience Protocol. It's basically everything I've done in my journey. You can download that for free by typing protocol in any one of the comments on any one of the videos, and then just check your messages.
Doctor, are you looking to expand even further, maybe into the medical community, maybe do some studies or get this information out to other cancer doctors?
Absolutely. So I have a number of oncologists and medical doctors reaching out to me now every week from around the world. I have oncologists from Brazil say, how do we send all of our patients to you? One in Belgium, in America here. And my biggest thing is let's empower and educate society that, hey, there's certain things that you can do that will feed cancer and certain things you can do that will starve cancer. This mentality that says diet doesn't matter is complete garbage. And I have all these oncologists and medical doctors reaching out to me saying, hey, our hands are tied in the medical system, and so what do we need to do? And my biggest thing is we can all work together, because there's a time and a place for standard of care. There's a time and a place for diet and just natural, holistic just approaches. And so let's combine those together and see what God does.
I really think that's outstanding. Pete Sulack, thank you very much for joining us this morning and sharing your story. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right. he mentioned doing a
water fast.
well, the water fast, I still haven't tried that, but the functional approach where you, they actually take a couple samples of your blood and they are able to, it's called functional medicine, but you get this whole panel about the foods that statistically speaking are going to be a little more difficult for your system to handle, and other foods that are really good for your system to handle. So I remember, for example, mozzarella cheese was not on, you know, they took my blood, they zeroed in on a couple other things. Yeah, that could lead to a little bit of like inflammation and difficulty digesting. There were a couple other things. I remember like apples and a couple other things, but it was, I was having some digestive issues. This is a few years back, but what they can do just by, with a couple of tests is pretty remarkable.
You did this at your doctor's office?
At a functional medicine
Functional medicine.
Functional medicine, yes.
I want to try that.
I got a whole panel. So and basically what you have to do is what's called an elimination diet, where you wipe out everything and then you gradually reintroduce different foods. And so once you get this rundown, you start
without
kind of,
all the things
exactly,
they say, you just
exactly.
Okay.
And then once your system's kind of cleaned out, you can gradually introduce those to see, because it's not like totally conclusive. Like you can't eat apples anymore, you can't eat chia seeds, whatever it is. You can try it, you can reintroduce it and just see how your body reacts to it. But there's some cutting edge stuff going out there, and I'm not surprised that he also mentioned mental attitude. And keeping kind of faith and context through the whole thing. One of my best friends from college is a radiation oncologist, and he said that for his patients, positive mental attitude is like such a huge factor in whether they survive.
Your mind is so strong.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I'm not
And he's
surprised.
like the most left-brained scientific data guy, and he's like, positive mental attitude, you have to have a positive mental attitude.
Well, just, I know this is like a right turn here, but speaking of like your brain-body connection, like breastfeeding moms, have you heard any research about like the intricacies of that? Like how, from what I understand, like your body can detect like from the saliva of your baby up to your brain what the baby needs, and then your body will create that in the breast milk to help out whatever the baby needs. Like it's just, it's amazing how intertwined like our bodies are with our brains. And then too, he mentioned, I said the water fast. I've been wanting to do that. I haven't done it yet, but just to like give you that reset of like the inflammation in your body, and like he said, giving your digestive system a break. Because I almost wonder as humans if we're not supposed to be eating like as consistently as we are.
No, this is new. Like, it was yesterday in human history years. It was like yesterday that food became this abundant.
Yeah.
And so, and you know what? I appreciate him being on the program, because he wasn't just like selling this thing. He's like, don't do this without guidance, without medical supervision. So, but it gets us all thinking, right? Like
and people who have cancer, if they've got loved ones who have cancer, desperate for information. So I'm glad that he's putting it out there for people to, hey, try it.
All right, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, another wave of return to office crackdowns have gone into place by some of the nation's largest employers.
Oh.
It was so funny. Do you remember back during the pandemic years? Like, did you work out of your house at that
I
point?
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was all by myself in like a wing of this big building where we are downtown. You
didn't work from home at all?
No, not at all. But you know, I was on the street reporting, and so that worked out fine. You know, we were social distancing, doing our live reports. But when I would show up to anchor a newscast, I remember I was upstairs all alone here, and then they had me in a different section. Anyway, we in the news business, we can't. Not all of us could do a remote, you know, learning, or but you were able to set up a weather
green
thing,
screen up in the basement,
which is awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool.
But this is becoming more and more common. Okay, so the latest to join the bandwagon are Microsoft, Paramount, and Comcast. Okay, so coming up, we are going to be speaking with a senior HR strategist who is about to release a book. It's called In Praise of the Office, The Limits to Hybrid and Remote Work. So this trend, it may be like kind of a pandemic thing. Yeah. So we're going to be talking with Rania Neme when we come back. Stay with us.
Welcome back, 10:38. So another wave of return to office crackdowns by some of the nation's largest employers is coming. The latest to join the bandwagon are Microsoft, Paramount, and Comcast's NBC Universal, which earlier this month informed employees that they could face consequences if they don't return to work more frequently, which that's not very specific. Maybe everybody got different instructions. But 5 years after the pandemic forced a global experiment in remote work, organizations are now forcing a critical inflection point. And for the first time, we have evidence drawn from experience and research on what works and what doesn't work. So we're being joined this morning by senior HR strategist Rania Neme. She has co-authored the upcoming book In Praise of the Office, The Limits to Hybrid and Remote Work. Good morning, Rania. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So first, let's start on why. Why now, 5 years later, are we starting to get more back to work mandates happening?
Yeah, I think, at the beginning, as we said, like when the pandemic first hit, it was really a crisis kind of scenario, right? That's why, to a certain extent, it worked very well, because I think employers didn't expect it to work at all. Because the technology made it happen, we were all able to have the flexibility to work from home. But it's only been really a couple of years down the line where we see what has worked and what has not worked. Because some of those things, you don't really measure in productivity, but it's more like things, the spontaneous conversations in the hallways, the sparks of innovation that you might have when you just see somebody and have a quick chat. So there's a lot of things I think that we did not factor in, and we only see years later how they affect the whole kind of fabric of the organization. And I think a lot of, companies have realized that, and that's why we're hearing so much over the last year, especially about all these return to office mandates.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Tell us about your approach to this book. Okay, first of all, what truly inspired you guys to actually create this, you and your co-author, and then tell us a little bit about the process.
Sure. Well, I think what we see over the last few years is that the narrative has been quite one-sided, if you will, about that remote is really great, and most people prefer that. And it's true that employees and many employers do prefer this hybrid kind of setup. But what we started to see is really these cracks and the things that are going wrong with hybrid as well. And that's why we thought, it is time to really write this book to kind of question what is the office for and how can we fix the hybrid working model. I won't speak on behalf of my co-author, Professor Peter Capelli from Wharton, but I think that is really, we kind of just wanted to contribute to the ongoing dialogue of, where the future of work will also take place.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
And just to answer your question, also the process that we went along, the professor actually conducted focus groups with a colleague of his as well, and this focus groups had, I think, around 720 people involved that were in remote settings, and a lot of what we write in the book is also based on these focus groups and the outcomes of these focus groups.
Got it.
So the focus groups. All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. You mentioned off the top that some of the things that are missing when you work from home are the pleasantries that you exchange with your coworkers. Can you give us some facts, some hard numbers about how not having those small interactions make a difference in the product or the company as a whole?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do have one statistics that showed that during the pandemic time, I think the patent generation, which is a proxy, a patent generation, which is a proxy for innovation, it was reduced by 20%. And the reason is that, people come up with ideas and innovations when they're together, typically. So it's really a collective kind of brainstorming activity, right? And you can't really do that individually. So I think that was really impacted. Secondly, we also see new hires and people who are entering the workforce. They have a very hard time in hybrid settings because they really struggle. And we see that also in the data on things like the loneliness at work, especially with the younger generations. This is all related also to the hybrid settings, because when new employees are first they start and they're in a hybrid setting, they have nobody really that can provide them with guidance, nobody they can learn from, they can watch. They can't even see or feel really how the culture, of the organization is, because they're not there to actually see it and to learn from people as well. So we see all of these as also quite challenging.
Where do you see things going from here? Are most companies these days providing a hybrid framework, or do you see companies going back to the old school model where it's literally show up to your cubicle or your office in person 100% of the time?
I hope that we will not be going back to those times, because if we've learned anything, it is that the office should be really about connection. It's not about compliance. It shouldn't be, you have to come into the office. I know that's the problem with a lot of companies. I think they're just mandating everyone. That's why it feels really forced, and that, the company wants to have control of us. But really, what it should be is more like, to rephrase why you're coming into the office. It's basically to do the activities that you cannot do from home, or that you cannot do well from home. So it's about, coming in to see your colleagues for collaboration, for mentoring, for problem solving, for team kickoffs. So it's really about making it a meaningful interaction. So there's a lot of intentionality in there. So I think we see a lot of companies also really even redesigning their offices to make it more collaborative. So I think that is more the intention.
Who do you think would benefit from buying your book or from reading it?
Well, I want to say everyone.
Yeah.
But mainly, I think it's, both employers and employees in companies, because I think for the employer, it's good for them to see, for leaders, what are the issues with hybrid work and how we can fix them. And from the employee perspective, I also think it's really relevant so that they can see their own issues, and also to really see the narrative of where employers are coming from. So I really think that everybody, it's very informative, I think, for most people.
When does it come out?
It's already out.
It's already out. Yay. Okay.
It came out September 30th, so it's out.
Congrats.
Already.
Congrats. I like the cover design.
So
I hope it's a huge success. Rania, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yep. And pre-pandemic, you know how Zoom is just so ubiquitous now?
Yeah.
We do so many of our interviews via Zoom. And
oh, yeah.
That was
never happened.
I know.
You're right.
And
all of these guests would have been right here with us.
Exactly. Or there would be some kind of satellite hookup, or they'd have to go to a studio or send a truck. Exactly.
Yeah. It
we had Skype and everything, but it's just so streamlined now.
Yeah.
So there were. I like the idea of kind of taking the good that we learned, in terms of getting around some of these travel issues and technology issues, but not, completely doing away with in-person work, because there's obviously
the human aspect.
Yeah, the human aspect.
And there's it's a delicate balance, right? Of I'm not going, because I've heard this before too. Companies asking for their employees to come back into the office, and these employees will say, I'm not doing that. I refuse to do that, or these are my terms. I'll come in 1 day a week. And then also on the other side of it, because sometimes the employers will say, okay, fine. AI,
Oh, yeah.
How that's going to be impacting jobs. So for the people who want to work from home, it's almost like, should I just go into the office every day so that I become, I'm a human person in here, it can't be replaced by AI, face to face with other people? Because if you're just at home and you're behind that computer, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a weird future moving forward. It already has been since COVID. It's weird. The world has completely changed in this aspect.
I know, and
many others.
My feeling is that it's so specific to the individual company's business model, how they're going to structure it. But I agree with her, where it's she's hoping it's not just a mandate, a mindless, hey, you have to report to work from 9 to 5, because I don't think that's the answer either.
If you can do it fully remote.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but before Caitlin and I sign off, I'm really excited to meet this gentleman. His name is Guenther Steiner, okay, and he is a former Haas F1 racing team principal. Now he is the star of a docuseries called Drive to Survive. and he is actually going to be performing. He's the he's on tour, like the owner of a team. So he's got to have a ton of personality here. He's going to be performing next month at the Cadillac Palace Theatre, and we're going to meet. We're going to get a little preview of that show and find out more about this Netflix docuseries as well with Guenther Steiner when we come back.
Lately, my
People ask me, how did you get into Formula One? What did you do? I did nothing, you know, because I was very happy where I was at the time at M Sport. And then I got the call, James is just saying here, you know, from a lady which said she was the secretary of Niki Lauda. I had never met Niki Lauda before. And for me it was like, and she said, Mr. Lauda would like to speak with you. I said, sure, Mr. Lauda can call me anytime. He called me a little bit later and introduced himself. Like, I wouldn't know who he is. He had to introduce himself. That was Niki, very polite, very correct. Said, I would like to speak with you because somebody at Ford at the time, he was the CEO of Jaguar Racing, or whatever it was called at the time, had some strange names. But it was owned by Ford Motor Company. I worked for Ford, he worked for Jaguar, we worked for the same company. And somebody gave him my name because he was looking for people for Jaguar F1 team. And he obviously, Niki didn't, you know, what did we call it? Headhunting. He wasn't headhunting, he was calling people up, you know. That was his style of headhunting. So I said, I would like to speak with you. Can you come to Vienna? I said, yeah.
All right, Unfiltered Live will be at the Cadillac Palace Theatre on November 15th, one night only. Guenther Steiner is a former Haas F1 team principal and star of Netflix's hit docu-series Drive to Survive, and he is joining us this morning. Good morning, sir. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Yeah, I can hear you and I can see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. Guenther, where are you joining us from, sir?
Mexico City.
All right, Mexico City.
That's the hot spot to be, it seems, these
Listen,
days.
I worked in Indianapolis, Indiana before I worked here in Chicago, and there was I don't know if it's still there, there was an F1 race around the Motor Speedway for a year or two there. Is that still the case?
No, that is gone. I think the last one was 2006 or 2007.
Okay, yeah, it's been a while.
It was there a few years, but it's gone now. Now it's in the States, it's in Austin, Miami, and in Las Vegas, there are Formula One races.
I remember, Guenther, just seeing the international crowd, okay? Just like people from all over the world. Like, I mean, hundreds of countries were represented in the crowd there. But before we kick off and talk to you about your Netflix series and this upcoming show right here in Chicago, the status of F1. I'm not a big racing guy, but just how big of a sport has it become internationally?
It has become a very, very big sport. I think it is the second biggest global sport after soccer, let's call it like this. In the last 5 years, there was an immense growth, and a lot of the growth was in the United States. It was always a big sport, but never as huge as it has become the last 6 or 7 years.
Okay, Mr. Steiner, let's talk about your show. I've heard you've got a great personality. Can you speak to how this came to be?
My personality, that I was just born with, you know. So I didn't do anything for that one, you know. I just, it's in my genes, no. But how this came out, that I ended up to be known was the Netflix series Drive to Survive. I'm in motorsport since 1986, you know. A long time before you guys were born. So, but I always worked there. But this Netflix series Drive to Survive brought out a few personalities, and I was one of them. And it came about, and then I wrote 2 books actually, and they became very popular, the books. And following the books, we decided to do a tour around the world. And up to now, we did about 85 of these shows.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I want to talk to you about those books then, because, like, you know, as we try to kind of hone in on how this all came about, what were the focus of those books? You said you've been in motorsports since 1986. Is your experience as a driver? Is it a team owner? Is it on the mechanical side of things? Paint a picture for us.
I did everything except driving cars.
Okay.
I did everything from being a mechanic to be a team principal, team manager, everything. So, in my books, I never had the intention to do a book. I mean, it wasn't my thing to do, but I was approached by James Hogg, which is the guy doing the shows with me. And he said, hey, let's do a book. And I said, I don't really want to do a biography. You know, everyone has done a biography. It's quite boring. I said, no, let's do something. Let's do a year of your life in Formula One in one book. And my biggest worry there was that year, when we were planning to do it for the year going forward, nothing will happen. I said, and if nothing happens worthwhile to write about, what are we going to write? He said, don't worry with you, something will happen. And obviously a lot of things happened that year, and that was the first book. And the second book were the last 10 years as a team principal for Haas F1.
Let's talk about November 15th, Cadillac Palace Theatre. If someone maybe wants to go to your event and they want to bring a significant other, maybe someone who hasn't watched racing, what would you say to those people, and what should draw them to your show?
To learn a little bit about me, about my career, about racing. There is a lot of people interested in Formula One in Chicago, and they will get a lot to know about that one, what is happening behind the scenes, and also the show is also opens up for a Q&A session. You know, at the end of the show for 15-20 minutes, I answer questions to the audience. And it's always very strange for me, because you think after 80 shows there is no new questions. There is always 1 or 2 new questions for me as well, and they are the most interesting for me to answer.
Okay, we gotta. Okay, before we let you go, Guenther, you said you've done 85 of these shows all around the world. What's the craziest question that, like, threw you for a loop, sir?
I cannot come up. There are many crazy ones, but there is not one which is outstanding. You know, it's like, the most impressive thing, as I said before, for me is you think there's no new questions anymore, and people just come up with new questions all the time. You know, it's difficult to remember them all. So I don't have one specific one. There is quite a few funny ones which I do not want to speak on TV here. You know, but in the show we mention them.
I love that.
If we were still on digital, we could go into some of those stories. Well, this is really cool. All right, so November 15th, you can meet Guenther Steiner, 15 or 20 minutes live Q&A from the audience itself. It's happening at the Cadillac Palace Theatre. Again, November 15th. Guenther, so nice to see you. Really appreciate it. Safe travels to you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Good luck.
So fun.
Yeah, exactly. I can't tell you, because I was so used to the IndyCar crowd down in Speedway, and I'm telling you, F1.
It's huge. It's huge.
So big.
And I'm sure he has stories.
Oh,
stories on stories.
Yeah, I'm also flattered that he thought I wasn't born in 1986.
I thought he said 1996. I heard you giggle after that. Speaking of stories, can we talk about how earlier in the show I said lethargic instead of cathartic?
You're issuing a retraction.
Listen,
let's do it.
We were doing an interview off the top, and on the commercial, I was like, what did I just say to Anthony? I was like, I don't think I said that right. And he goes, I think you meant to say cathartic. And then I looked down, my mom texted me because she's watching. She's like, I think you mixed up those words. I was like, oh no, I'm not the only one.
It was a hybrid between cathartic and lethargic.
It was like
and it came out lethargic, which actually that's a pretty good word.
Yeah,
lethargic.
Sure.
I gotta noodle that for a little bit, but that could be like a hybrid between.
I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's Tuesday. It feels like it should be Thursday. We're working with what we got. I had 3 shots of espresso during this show, so I'm feeling a little bit more awake now.
Everybody. All right, we're coming up on 11 a.m. Tia, and well, the very caffeinated Tia Ewing is in the house. I see, along with the oh, it's tea. Okay, so it's tea.
Oh, it's tea.
Tia and Gabby will be right up with another hour of Chicago Now right after this. Stay with us.
Chicago.
Back to the 11 o'clock hour of Chicago Now. I've never heard anything so true when Caitlin said this Tuesday feels like a Thursday.
I felt more like Friday at this point.
You know
like, let's just get to the weekend. Let's skip all the rest of the days. Let's get to it. That's how it feels.
How has it already been a long week? I think it's the cloudiness that we're seeing outside.
Maybe.
That's it.
And it rained a little bit yesterday. That can kind of make you feel a little. But wow, look at Chicago. Look how beautiful.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I think we're just covered by this clouds a little bit. Soon we'll see that sunshine like some of the other parts of our area. But we have a packed show coming up today. We're talking about the Lynn Sage Breast Cancer Foundation is celebrating 40 years of impact this year. $50 million raised in the last 4 decades.
Wow.
Which is very, very impressive. We know that we've talked to many people who have struggled with breast cancer.
Or know someone that has, for sure, right?
Exactly, yeah. But whether it be in our personal life or talking to them here on our show. And also the 2nd annual edition of Chicago Fashion Week continues through the 19th, so Sunday, which I love seeing Chicago getting some fashion love because you know what, I walk down our streets and I see people so well dressed and I don't think they get enough credit, even compared to New York. New York gets a little too crazy, LA is a little too expensive, Chicago knows how to dress.
Just right. That's right. And so speaking of fashion, there is a person that is a part of Chicago, fabric of Chicago now, and that's Jonathan Owens, one of the players for the Chicago Bears, who's married to Simone Biles. And it's interesting that this is trending because this was his outfit for the week 4 when they played the Las Vegas Raiders, but for some reason, this is trending right now. So I don't know what kind of designer scarf that is. Maybe our Fashion Week folks that's in the studio would know. I'm guessing maybe that's Louis Vuitton or, you know, somebody, you know, that of money, right? We know that that scarf probably costs some money. But what do you think about this look? People were making fun of it. They said it looks like your auntie getting ready to go to the airport. What do you make of it?
You know, Tia, this is my first reaction to this.
Your hand is on your head.
Yeah,
so.
I have not seen this picture yet. It does remind me of my grandmother just getting her perm done, going to the grocery store. She wants to cover her hair.
Rollers
but you know
underneath.
what? For some reason, I also don't hate it.
I like it. I think
because he's just so good looking.
Well, you said that, not me. My thought is, I guess you're mirror. You can acknowledge somebody being attractive.
If someone
Nothing
has
wrong
good
with
looks,
that.
they have good looks.
I think it's one of those things where one thing I have noticed with these athletes on game day when they're arriving, no matter if it's the WNBA, the NBA, NFL, etc., it's to make a point, right? And it's almost, you know, that they're looking to go viral and be talked about. So I guess I'm not surprised that this is trending. I am a little surprised by the timing because this bye week happened and everything, and now it's trending right now. But I don't know. Somebody said, did he lose a bet? That was one fan asked that question.
Comments are always the first place you need to go.
It's always so funny.
Like that.
Do you think these guys are paid to wear this stuff? Another person posted. What do you think? You say you don't hate it.
He literally does actually look like he has like a little sewing kit behind him, right? He's like a grandma on his way to the fabric store.
I'm telling you, people said it looked like an auntie on the way to the airport.
But at the same time, he's so handsome. I don't hate it.
All right, well, there you have it.
I hate it, Tia. We've seen crazier things, but I think you're right. They're trying to get a reaction online, and he's done so.
They're getting it. Yeah, I don't think it looks bad. I think without the scarf on the head, it still could have been a look. That's my opinion.
Also, whoever Simone Biles loves, I also love.
Me too. I mean, she's so cute. Yeah, she is
so cute. I love her to death. All right, the Bears won. Maybe thanks to a special guest that you guys had on Friday. I was stuck with some breaking news, but the office scribe came back on in person and brought some of her setup.
AKA the Bears Witch. Mandy Marin was in studio with us. She brought celery, salt. I can't remember everything.
Oh, she brought the goods.
Jardinera. Yep, she did. And she also brought it in powder form, put it in a little jar. There it is right there.
It's like we're watching Thursday or
she
Friday.
couldn't light, you know, we didn't want engineering to come down on us about the lit candles, so we didn't light the candles, but we did everything else to like kind of mix and get prepared for this. But yeah, she put that in a little jar and put some good luck on it, and boom, they won. And what's crazy is they literally won in a very unique fashion. Did you watch the game?
Yeah, it was a field goal, right? No, I go to sleep way too early.
Literally 1 point.
The reruns, yeah.
And I was like, whoa. So okay, I didn't think of Mandy right away, but I did think, wow, this was an amazing win. The way that they won was literally down to the wire. And Moody, I don't know his first name. I just know when I opened up all of my social media this morning, everybody had it in caps. Moody, Moody, Moody. So Moody was the kicker.
I know.
Good job, Moody. And anybody know Moody's first name? Because I honestly don't know.
No, I don't. But I remember I was watching our pregame show.
What was that? Jake Moody. Shout out to you, Jake Moody.
Gallery was able to
thank goodness for them.
No, I was watching the pregame show on Fox 32 with Lou and Cassie and all them, and they were talking about him and saying like how they're excited to see him play. Well, here we go.
Yeah, he did a good job.
With them.
I got a drink. I'm sorry. You know, I got a little scratchy throat.
All right. You know, it's funny because she's wearing a witch hat. She looks awfully witchy, and when we had her on, she was saying how she was not necessarily a witch, that she just did these little manifestations.
She does not mind being called a witch.
Okay, not anymore. All right.
No, she doesn't mind being called a witch, but she just wants people to understand that she's not putting a hex on somebody. She's not thinking
friendly witch.
Negative thoughts.
Who's a friendly witch that we know on TV?
Was Glenda a nice witch?
Wait, no, I'm saying that wrong.
I don't remember witches.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I don't get into
anyway,
witchery.
Until we have her back on Thursday, we'll get permission to light the candles so that we could do it all right here.
Well, they won by 1 point. That was impressive.
They did,
okay.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Did you read this?
Lay's is rebranding because customers apparently didn't know chips were made with real potatoes. And I'm like, hold up. It's potato chips. I guess I just assumed that, yes, they're made with real potatoes.
I don't know. I'm starting to think this era people are...
They're like... manufactured and all this stuff? Anyway.
I don't know.
Lay's announced its rebrand, the largest in its nearly 100-year history, because really they haven't changed. The company said it's removing artificial flavors and colors in the U.S. and revealing a fresh logo, bag design, and advertising, trying to really hammer home that its chips are made with real potatoes.
Well, maybe people question it. I mean, if you have to come out and say, hey, we're removing artificial flavors and colors, then that would make somebody feel like your chip really isn't a real potato in some way. So I do understand that. But I am surprised that the average person, well, let's hope that this is a small part of the population, didn't know that potato chips. Potato. You hear that word? Let's say it again. Potato. Okay?
Why are people eating them?
It's a potato.
Chips. I do think that they're onto something here, though, because there's brands like Siete, there's brands like, I think it's Boulder Chips, that really advertise, hey, we don't have seed oils, hey, we don't have any artificial flavors in the chips.
So
and that's why people, including myself, gravitate towards them at the grocery store aisle. And also, regular potato chips are just as expensive sometimes as those like healthier versions.
That's true. But I mean, to not know that a potato chip was made with a potato.
I'm gonna act like
what grade are we all in?
It's no one here in Chicago. It's probably someone
I hope not.
LA or New York that thinks that.
Okay, let's talk about Kylie Jenner has revived King Kylie with a new campaign. I saw this on social media. I really honestly I didn't really know what I was looking at. I felt like I was looking, well, that's not what I saw. I saw someone in like these shorts and barely had a shirt on, and I'm like, who is this? And then I looked deeper and I was like, oh, this is Kylie Jenner. So this is, I'm guessing, her cosmetic line. It seems like somewhat of a rebrand in some ways. So it says it there, the King Kylie collection is truly for you. You're the reason my biggest cosmetic dreams came true, and I wouldn't be here 10 years later without your support. So she's about to relaunch, and it launches on October 18th, KylieCosmetics.com. So there you have it.
She really has done so well. So it's part of Kylie Cosmetics, but it's her King Kylie collection. Interesting. So I wonder if she's going to bring back like the super colorful lipsticks. Remember, she had like the green, the blue, and it was so cute because not too long ago, and this is probably a subtle hint or a subtle launch, her daughter Stormy was putting on some of the old lip kit that was like, I think, bright purple, and it was so cute on her, and everyone was commenting like, bring King Kylie back.
I'm gonna guess glittery. Only because, can we go back to that picture for a second?
No.
Usually your campaign is what you're going to bring.
Oh, that's true.
You know, if you were going to go full color, you would have, you know, colorful lips. That's kind of a subtle lip with more shimmer.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing maybe this is a metallic line,
hold
perhaps.
on. It's not true King Kylie then, if she doesn't have the colorful lips, right?
I don't know. We have to see. That's why it's a new launch, so it'll be interesting.
Fine, I'll buy it.
You're gonna buy it?
Fine. You know what? Pull my leg, Tia.
You know how I feel about those Kardashians and Jenner, so that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
I was just telling you, I'm a sucker for just buying and trying new makeup, and I shouldn't be.
Oh, I didn't realize this. I did see the video, but I didn't know she was rapping. So on it, Jenner raps a brief verse before whispering King Kylie at the end. I would be really interested to hear her rap. Was it good, you guys? Did you guys hear it? Delaney, did she rap well? Or?
I will say that I was looking
curious.
Instagram, and I've been so busy the last couple of days, so I had stopped and looked at it, but I saw her in the recording studio and it said something about King Kylie, so now it's all making sense. But yeah, maybe we can show that video later on in the show, because I would like to.
Yeah, I like to hear her rap.
But reaction with all of you.
But it also makes me think a lot of these people that are, I guess you could say, influencers, they're very smart. They do things like this. They make this kind of drop announcement, right? And then the next thing you know, they have a song, and the next thing you know, they have a short little, you know, almost like movie to go along with it. So there's no telling what might come out of this. I think it's, honestly, from a business perspective, I'm not a fan of the Jenners and the Kardashians, but when it comes to business, they do business well, and that I will give a round of applause for.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, you have to give it up to them.
Yeah, for
they
that.
They have made
100%
millions, billions on all that they've done. And you know what? I'll try it out for the both of us. Okay.
Let me know. You could come right here and let me know. I'm gonna save my coins. They don't need my money.
Hey, later on the show, we're gonna try to bring that rap to you, because
I want to hear
Kylie Jenner rapping. I don't know about
curious.
That. Okay, we have much more to get to later on in the show. Just give us a couple minutes and we'll bring you much more.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Now. Of course, you know October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and joining us in studio right now is Kirsten Chernowski, the Executive Director of the Lynn Breast Cancer Foundation. And I want to point out this fact: the foundation has raised already more than $50 million for innovative breast cancer research, education, and also awareness programs. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about, you know, raising that kind of money, how that money really helps this cause. There's no cure yet, but obviously we're all still hoping and praying for one. Tell us how this money helps people that are in this situation right now.
Absolutely. So we're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. And as you noted, in that time frame, we've raised more than $50 million to help with prevention, detection, and treatment. And when the foundation was founded 40 years ago, the survival rates for a woman with stage 1 breast cancer were at 75%. Now we're at closer to 90. So it's incredible progress, but there's still a lot more work to do. Breast cancer remains the most commonly diagnosed cancer in women and the second leading cause of death in women worldwide.
So I know a big thing is that you guys have a new partnership with some hospitals around. How does that help breast cancer research overall?
Yes, so the Chicago Breast Cancer Research Consortium was founded by the Lynn Breast Cancer Foundation, and it brings together Northwestern, Rush, and University of Chicago to provide breast cancer clinical trials across all 3 sites. And this is really groundbreaking. It's a regional model that's never been done before, and what this really does is allow patients at any hospital to participate in those clinical trials. And Lynn is also providing a patient support fund to help reduce or eliminate any barriers that folks might have to participating in that trial, to really ensure that it's both equitable and accessible. And the hope is this could expand to other areas and other cancers.
Yeah, because was it really a block to, you know, go from hospital to hospital after you've been treated or going through, you know, chemotherapy at one spot versus somewhere else?
Yes, and it allows patients to stay with their doctors of choice, which is so important. As a breast cancer survivor myself, I know how meaningful your team is to you, and so to be able to continue treatment with them while also being able to participate in cutting-edge research and clinical trials is really something that we're proud of.
You know, I think everyone that hears about breast cancer in some way, shape, or form, they have a story. You know, my grandmother died. In my case, my grandmother actually died of breast cancer. There wasn't all of this newfound research back then, and it was a quick and sudden death. You know, when I think about it and I recollect on those times, what was it like with your own battle with breast cancer?
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for me, I was only 33, so I was not of the age to be having screenings yet, which is now 40. So something I always say is make sure that you are familiar with your own body, because the way that you know if something feels off is that you know what feels normal. But I was 33 and diagnosed with stage 2A. Had chemotherapy, radiation, and fortunately, thanks in large part to the work that Lynn Sage and other organizations have done, my diagnosis was survivable.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Congratulations on having a great journey to where you are now and being that advocate too for others. You know, when you were going through your journey, how nice would it have been to know that this partnership is in place, that you can go to these different hospitals? It probably, you know, just gives you another step up in your journey and confidence.
Exactly. So I actually had my surgery at one hospital and my treatment at another. Wow. So having something that was so integrative would have made a lot of the bureaucratic process of getting treatment a lot simpler. And I think that's something that, unless you're in it, folks don't think about, is all of the paperwork and appointment scheduling. And so this really helps to streamline that process through, you know, the partnership across all three hospitals and the patient support fund to have social workers be able to shepherd the patients through that journey and help take everything off their plate that isn't involved in, you know, surviving and getting better.
So walk me through this. A woman is diagnosed with breast cancer. She finds out about your foundation. Walk me through what happens when she first finds out about Lynn Sage and how you kind of like walk a woman that's dealing with this through the process. How do you help?
Lynn Sage actually primarily invests in research and clinical trials.
Got it.
So once a woman finds out that she's been diagnosed, she would actually work with her hospital to take those steps. What we do is help empower our hospital partners to be able to do that work. And at a time when federal funding is not nearly as predictable as it used to be, hospitals and researchers are really looking to the private sector to ensure that that work doesn't come to a halt as their funding becomes either non-existent or less predictable. So we're really helping to fill that gap as we look to the future.
You know, I've done stories about certain groups of women in our population. They have fear of research. Black and brown population, for example, sometimes they don't want to participate in this clinical research. And unfortunately, that means a lack of, you know, intel to see certain things, certain trends, etc. Is that something that you've seen as well, and maybe something that you encourage?
You know, I think especially in Chicago, there are a lot of factors that serve as barriers to participation in clinical trials, even if those trials are something that you might be eligible for. And so the hope is that with our patient support fund, whether it be external factors related to social determinants of health, transportation, childcare, etc., or internal factors like we talked about, having a social worker walk you through that process so it's not so confusing and overwhelming. Our hope is that by funding that patient support fund, we will see that equitable representation in clinical trials and in research, which we know the more diverse the trials and research are, the better the outcomes are for all populations.
True.
Well, let's talk about that funding because I'm seeing a lot of pictures come up and it looks like people all smiles at runs or at different events. How can people at home support you guys, and you know, what's your message to them to know, hey, you know, $50 million is a lot over the last 40 years, but we do need more to keep on funding journeys.
Absolutely, and you know, the work that we do is very serious, but we also want to make sure there is that celebratory aspect because we are cheering on our thrivers and survivors and honoring folks' memories. So the audience can visit lynnsage.org to learn more. We have a lot of ways to get involved, especially in October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we have Purchase for Pink and Chicago's in Good Taste, which are two campaigns that bring together our retail partners and restaurant partners, where a portion of proceeds will benefit the foundation. And then on October 16th, on Thursday, we have our big 40th anniversary celebration at Theater on the Lake, and it would also have been our namesake, Lynn Sage's 80th birthday.
Wow. And that's a beautiful space too, so I'm sure that's going to be a beautiful event. I do want to ask you this before we let you go, because we've had a lot of people that have sat right where you're sitting, and they're part of foundations and nonprofits, and because of what we're seeing across the country, many of them have said they've had issues with funding. Has that been a story that the Lynn Sage Foundation has encountered yet?
Fortunately for us, no. A lot of our funding is local, so that has helped. but we're really on the flip side helping to fill that need. So our hospital partners, our researchers that are experiencing those cuts, we're able to help make sure that that funding and therefore that research and those trials continue.
I'm really going to put you on the spot here because we talked about October, you know, being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but this carries on all throughout the year, as we've said with many other, you know, dedicated months. What are some upcoming events outside of October that people can look forward to, this year?
So we will have opportunities posted on our website throughout the year to engage with our researchers, to really have more intimate space to hear the work that we're doing, to understand where the field is headed and where we might see exciting new breakthroughs and progress in the future. And so staying tuned to lynnsage.org will really help keep folks up to date.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time and coming in and speaking with us.
Can't thank you enough for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. Such an important issue. All right, well, stay with us right here on Chicago Now. We'll be right back with much more. Welcome back to Chicago Now. We are talking all things Chicago Fashion Week. This is the second annual edition of Chicago Fashion Week. It continues through Sunday, October 19th, spotlighting the city's fashion industry with fashion shows, in-store events, educational program, retail marketplaces, and more. You see all these amazing designs. Joining us is Amir Roberts and Rahelia Tanasi with Chicago Fashion Week, as well as the models who are showcasing these amazing designs. I feel like we didn't dress appropriately for this today.
That's exactly what I said when I came up here. I said, Tia, I think I should have rethought my outfit today because you guys look all incredible.
I mean,
thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Let's talk about what's coming up for the upcoming week until Sunday.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, Chicago Fashion Week has already kicked off. We're about 5 days in, I believe. And the shows, the vibes, the people are out, the looks are looking. And I heard you guys say earlier that Chicago usually doesn't get its fashion shine. And that has been the highlight and the main goal of this whole thing, is that people are noticing that the designers are here, the people are here, the creatives are here. So we're really excited that people are participating.
Let's talk about the designs. You are the mastermind behind what we're seeing. Indeed. We want to step over. Yeah. What came in your mind when you designed this? And can you do something with my wardrobe?
Yes,
this is amazing.
So I really wanted to show Chicago the capabilities that all of our designers have, right? We have a great breadth of options here. Do we want to start?
Yes, let's start there.
Let's start over here. So we have Olante Bao being featured as a designer here with our model. We've got this lovely plaid set. He does a lot of mainly coats, mainly leather coats and leather goods.
Yes.
But he also does a couple of really beautiful sets, and this is one of them. As you can see, he also does this, there's a beautiful bag right here with his emblem, and if we can move the coat off a little bit over here.
Wow.
We can see that there's a nice cute little emblem over there. But our model here, he's ready to rock and be fabulous and take on the world, whether it's more business related or more party related.
I love it. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah, you know what? It's so elevated, but yeah, it's wearable on the street, and you won't feel uncomfortable in it, you know, for a normal day-to-day person.
For sure. Let's talk about the young lady. I like the draping.
Yes. So here we have Swaby.
Okay.
And Swaby is, you know, an iconic designer here in Chicago. As you can see, this is from her most recent collection that was just shown on Saturday, called it focuses on the relationship between braiding and the way that it can be put and embraced in the different ensembles, like the pants and the top. So you should check out the collection. It's gorgeous. This is a great option for daytime to nightwear even, and we've got that coat as well. Yeah, Swaby's, she is such an incredible designer, is willing to tailor and make sure that her customers always feel very happy with her clothes. So check her out.
Yeah, I will wear everything you're showing me to work every day.
I do have a question for you, because you know, we see drapery becoming a trend in a lot of event spaces, you know, with decor. Do you find that it kind of ties in usually with clothing too, or maybe they're drawing inspiration from clothing designers as well?
Yeah, I personally do see a trend kind of picking up as far as like draping goes with a pants skirt combo. I really love it, and she's actually got some great options as well. She's got like multiples, like one with satin, and so yeah, this is, I think, anything with art, you're going to see it repeated in any world. So you've got the furniture or whatever it is, the interior design, you will definitely see it repeated in clothes as well.
Let's talk about this look, because this gives me business, but elevated business look, you know, wearing to the office.
Yes, absolutely. So here we have iconic designer Joss Blake. They actually recently just moved back from Spain. They were in Spain and Sevilla, and he here uses a light wool to make a statement. We've got this beautiful detail here with some holes, and then obviously the way that these pleats over here and the belt is sitting, it's just, she's ready to take on the world. She's ready to tell people what to do at the office, but then also, you know, take off the top, the front coat, and you know, she can definitely wear it after work. Josh is wonderful. He focuses on bringing a more futuristic perspective to his clothing, utilizing textiles and the way that ways that the clothes are sewn.
I'm definitely impressed.
Gorgeous.
Now, it seems like denim on denim has made a comeback, where it's like, you can wear the denim pants, the denim jacket, a denim shirt. Let's talk about this look. It is fantastic.
Here we
That's what I'm talking about. Step on out.
Yes.
You know what? He's so beautiful. I need to step out of frame.
Emmanuel is meant for the camera here.
Definitely.
But we've got this gorgeous piece done by our own local designer here, Cone Ranger, and you can find them in Avondale. They have a store there, and they are elevated Western wear, and also utilizing recycled materials. They really care about the impact on the earth, and they're trying to do what they can to make sure that you can look fabulous, but still also low impact on the environment. So we have this beautiful fur right here on the coat, on the neckline. We can see these emblems, these patchwork that they do everywhere. On the pant, it's kind of like their iconic signature look here.
And I love this little first aid kit as the bag.
I know.
That is so fly.
We wanted to give the full cone experience here, so that is what we're doing. You can find a lot of their clothes with these iconic horses here. And that's their little signature look. So
talk about, you know, really what people can see at Chicago Fashion Week in terms of what's in, because some people are not fashionable, right? They don't really know where to go, and so sometimes they do gain inspiration from some of these fashion weeks. New York Fashion Week, in this case Chicago Fashion Week.
Yeah, well, I feel like fashion is a form of self-expression, and I really think people should come forth in however they feel. There are so many amazing options local to Chicago that you can pull from, but all of these designers here, you can buy a jacket, buy a skirt, buy a heel, buy a bag, and it might just, you know, welcome you in a little bit more into being a little bit more fashionable, in the sense that you can take these pieces and throw them on with what you already have in your closet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, another thing I feel like it's kind of intimidating, right? Because you look at you beautiful people and you're like, well, I'm not well dressed enough in order to go to some of these events, but that's probably not the case, right?
No, not at all. I mean, fashion is for everyone, for all types, for all colors, for all gender expressions. So we feel like you should come forth the best that you are, and like she has expertly shown us today.
Yeah, she did. Did a great job.
I mean,
well done.
Not only can you be from here, but you can shop from here and look like you belong in any of the cities that are typically known for fashion.
Very true.
Yeah.
Run us through what's going on for Fashion Week, because it's not over. Run us through some of the other events that are coming up.
Yeah, well, Chicago Fashion Week has 6 different categories that the events are falling in, between runway, social, some panels, different ticketed events. So that's all you'll see throughout the week. You can go on ChicagoFashionWeek.com, and there's an organized schedule that kind of categorizes between what you're feeling, what your vibe is. And yeah, you can participate. All of the info and locations and ticketing information will be right there on the website. And we're just enjoying the rest of the week and hoping that everybody comes out and participates.
I want to ask you something about, you know, when I look around Chicago, I always say Chicago has so many beautiful people. And one thing I think about is the models. There's so many beautiful models in Chicago. Is it easy to find models right here in Chicago? You know, they're always talking about New York, LA, but look at these beautiful people right here in our city.
Step back. So
yeah, so you can really see them.
Yeah.
We've got multiple agencies, and these lovely models are actually from the Rock Agency. We are graciously partnered with them this year, and as you can see, they all look fabulous. There's a lot of talent here in Chicago, and I would like to say that I think that the creative side of things as far as fashion goes is really just taking a turn, and we are expediting ourselves to the top, in my opinion.
I really agree. I do have one more question for you about price. You know, I think also that's a part of the intimidation factor is like, okay, do I need to be ready to spend a ton, or are there some designers here locally that maybe you could spend a little less but still look really good?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Yeah, I would say I think yes. I think that every designer, based on the materials that they use and the time they've put into the pieces, you can definitely find some really great pieces for the value that they're producing. A lot of these clothes are also handmade by them, depending on if they've figured out how to highly produce the clothing. But I would say clothes are an investment, and in my opinion, less is more. And when you invest in quality and you invest in the local independent designers, you're not only investing in yourself, you're investing in the community, and ultimately creating an environment where everyone can thrive together.
Right. If you're going to go down on Oak Street and go to Louis Vuitton, you may as well buy something local that'll have the same, last the same amount of time and still be fashionable at the exact same time. What's different? Let me ask you this year for this Fashion Week versus the previous Fashion Week. What's changed and evolved?
Yeah, well, this is our 2nd year, and really the main focus is highlighting these local designers, because there are so many, and you'd really be amazed at how many people have not only been here, but they've been here for years, 10+ years, maintaining different, ateliers and shops, which is crazy in this economy. So what we're really trying to focus on is turning local people into consumers and fans, and getting this local economy just really stimulated with the local fashion.
I love that.
Do you think that a lot more people are going to be, well, obviously it's the 2nd year, catching on for this year's Fashion Week, but really, how was the turnout last year? Did it surprise you how many people were excited for a Fashion Week here in Chicago?
Yeah, I think Chicago has had a fashion presence for a really long time, but now that it's in its organized sense, people are starting to catch on that it is as serious as all those other big cities, as you mentioned, and that we have have everything that we need right here in this ecosystem to make it thrive and make a really big statement. So now going into the second year, I think people are starting to catch on and are starting to say, hey, I can join this. Hey, I have other fashion enthusiasts or lovers here in this city that won't make me feel like I'm the oddball out or I'm the person who is overdressed, which is never the case, by the way. You're never overdressed. They're only ever underdressed.
All right, I'm gonna wear a prom dress tomorrow to work then.
Right.
Because you're never overdressed. I love that.
But we want people to feel comfortable that you are, you know, we're all here, we're all friends, we're all getting to know each other, but we all have one love of just self-expression through fashion, and the city is coming together and starting to notice that.
I will say this, when I saw you guys, so I came in this morning, you know, I'm drab, I got my jogging pants on and everything, and I saw these people and I said, those are the fashion people. You can just tell.
It's instant.
You know, just instant. They just exude, you know, fashion.
We gave the models love. Can you guys want us to?
Yeah, what's your inspiration? I was going to say
Chicago peeps.
Well, honestly, this is just like my everyday style, but I'm also wearing Alante, which is featured on this first model here. Alante
have you turn this way.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Alante just knows the detail of the man.
I love the bag, Black Boy Magic.
Yeah, let's make sure we get that up there.
So,
yeah, no, I just appreciate how he makes me feel and all his clothes feel like once it gets on the shoulders. So I have a blazer from him today and just some jeans and some, you know, everyday shoes that I'm always rocking.
Now you're on camera.
There we go. Yeah,
do that back to the back.
This is just kind of like my everyday style, but kind of like what I was saying before, just taking an elevated piece from a designer and incorporating it into things I already have.
And the shoes, because those are
and the shoes.
A look for sure. Now, what about your look? It's beautiful.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so no Chicago designers today, but that's okay.
Yes.
We have a Spain designer. These shoes are from a designer called Mista. And then we've got this London designer, Casper the Label. And then we've got another more London-based company called Innover Denim, and they do a lot of kind of edgier,
corset-like?
Yeah, edgier looks, alt like avant-garde looks.
Yeah, I love it, and the necklace too.
Yes,
very beautiful.
The necklace is Kalinda Strada.
Okay.
Yeah.
People that we've never heard of.
You know, we will. I want to know about
designers, though.
Exactly. And we're going to know these Chicago designers even more very soon.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for coming. Chicago Fashion Week happening until Sunday. Through Sunday, fashion shows, what are we talking, in-store events, educational programming, all of that. Where can people, one more time, find more information?
ChicagoFashionWeek.com.
There it is, pretty easy. ChicagoFashionWeek.com. Go check out the list of everything that's going on. Stay with us right here on Chicago Now. We'll be right back.
talk with me a while. There are things that we could say about the clouds and rain and maybe your name. Oh, tell me where you've been and where you'd like to go.
That's John Michael Ferrari, and at 77 years young, he's shooting for the Best Pop Solo Performance Award at this year's Grammys, making him the oldest Grammy-nominated artist for Best Pop Solo. But he has had a fantastic career, and he is joining us this morning. Hello, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show this morning.
Well, I mean, that's the best way to come out of a commercial break is hearing the lovely sound coming from you. So let's talk about your long, successful career. I want you to, you know, lay it all out for us. I want you to brag about yourself. What are just some of the things that you've done that have brought you to this point?
Well, you know, I've always wanted this dream, this opportunity ever since I was a kid living at the Nevada State Children's Home. And then I went to the service, and I kept that dream with me. And I knew when I got out that this is what I wanted to do, but I didn't know the path. And that's what took so long. You know, at 70 years old, you think it's over. And then Pepper J walks in the room and says, we're going to Nashville and record. At 70 years old, and I said, okay, and that was the turning point of everything.
So you've done cover songs for most of your career. What made you decide to record and perform your own songs at the age of 71? Why the switch?
You know, Pepper, said, your songs are good. You got to do something with them. And it just never occurred to me, and I didn't know where to start, what to do. I mean, I've been playing in bands and playing cover songs, and she said, no, we need to go to Nashville. We need to record your own songs. And within 2 months after we hit Nashville, we had our first national chart. I think we came on the national charts as 198. And we were so happy just to be on the charts with all the major artists. And after a few weeks, we made it all the way up to #2.
Wow,
impressive.
Are you surprised that your audience has really responded so well to you making your own music? It seems like you've received many awards since you started.
That's Pepper's fault. She's the one that promotes everything, and she said, this is what we're going to do. And we put it out there, and it's been received just so wonderfully by everybody. But it tells a story that, when you think it's time to retire, it doesn't mean it's time to retire. It just means, try a different strategy, because all these years, I guess I was using the wrong strategy. And getting to Nashville and meeting the Nashville community and learning from them how to proceed and taking their advice really paid off.
Let's talk about, you've been doing this for a very long time. I would imagine that you've probably gone all across the country, not just here in the USA. What is one of the craziest stories you remember or that you have on your docket from doing this for so long?
Well, it's always been a good story. People, they always come to me and they say, well, how do you know all these people in the audience? And I said, I don't. When they said, well, you always act like you do. And I said, that's where I came up with the phrase, there's never a stranger in the audience. And I told that person, I said, well, I always feel like there's never a stranger in the audience. So when I come out and perform, I treat everybody as though they're my best friend. And they respond to me. When you treat an audience that way, you're going to get that kind of reaction.
Well, and I already feel it here. John, are you really 77 years old?
77. I'll be 78 next month. So
wow, happy early birthday.
Happy birthday. You look amazing. What is your secret? I think everyone at home is going to want to know that.
Definitely your skincare routine.
It's amazing.
Music. That's it. You got to do music. Play music, do what you love to do. You can work out and you can eat right, but that's not enough sometimes. You got to do what you love to do, and I really love what I do. I love being out there in front of the audience. I love performing. Every night I come out here to the studio and I go through my sets. I sing, I practice all the time.
Do people react the same way as we do, like saying, hey, is he actually that age? Because you seem just so much younger.
So youthful.
Well, you know, I'm glad that people receive me that way, but, you know, I think it's an attitude. You know, I'm around a lot of young people, especially when you go to Nashville. You know, you do the roundabouts and all the people on stage with you, they're all young people, and they inspire me. And you know, you got to keep up with them. Got to stay healthy and good spirits. And it's not hard to do when you're doing what you love.
Speaking of love, your single is When Love Is Love. What is the inspiration behind that song?
I love singing love songs. I mean, my favorite songs are love songs. You can't go wrong with love songs, and there's just something about them. I just get that feeling. You know, I can be in a situation and see a situation unfolding, and I can turn it into a love song. I just find a way to do it. I don't know, there's something inside of me that I just want to express that feeling of love and to everybody. So it comes out in my songs.
Do you remember growing up that first love song that really was like an inspiration to you, that you were like, man, I'm gonna start singing love songs? What was that song that really was the inspiration for you?
Oh, I had a crush on a girl in high school, and I think that was my inspiration for writing a love song. And I wrote her a love song, and I manuscripted it all out, and I took it to her house, and I handed it to her, and she said thank you, and that was the only time I ever got to speak with her.
I bet you she regrets that now. I bet you she regrets that now, John.
Well, somewhere, maybe she still has that manuscript someplace. I'd be interested to see that.
What was the song? What was do you remember the title of the song and some of the lyrics that you put in there?
It was called Candyland, but, you know, I don't remember any of the lyrics.
Okay.
I just, you know, there's a place I'd like to be somewhere with you in Candyland or something. It was really silly.
Okay.
It was a silly song.
Okay. You're a
but
romantic.
it was a start. It was a start.
I love it. What about some other artists that you maybe draw inspiration from, whether it's the artists that you've been listening to as you've been growing up, or even now, you know, modern artists that are very popular?
You know, of course, we were all influenced by Elvis, by the Beatles. I love songwriters. I love Carole King. You know, I love to listen to Johnny Mathis when I was a kid. Tony Bennett, of course, Frank Sinatra, and I love the rock and roll songs. So my music is a combination of all those songs put together. And if you listen to my songs, you'll hear little bits and pieces of that era in that song. When Love Is Love has a lot of, I was inspired by Motown songs. And that's what inspires me. I just love the music, and I love to put that in each of my songs. Some songs are more of a jazz, some are more country, and this one is kind of, I'm pop solo performance, so they put me in the pop genre with all the other pop singers like Bruno Mars, you know.
I love that. If you could collaborate with any artist tomorrow, who would you want to collaborate with? If you had to pick one person out there, who would you want to collaborate with?
I think David Foster or Carole King, someone like that.
Well, you know what, John? It seems like songwriting has come natural to you your entire career, even though you really started just performing your own songs. Have you been, you know, writing pretty much as you've grown into this in the spotlight?
Yeah, I've always written a little bit. You know, I just never thought I was going to go this far into it until Pepper suggested we needed to go to Nashville. But I would write little songs here and there and put them in a drawer. And, you know, Pepper would always say, you know, those are good songs, we should do something with them. And then it wasn't until we took action. But I've always been a frustrated songwriter, but there's a craft to it. There's a really craft, and that's what you learn when you go to Nashville, the craft of songwriting. And once you learn that and you take a few steps to put the songs out there, I think you really have a chance.
So you have this single. My next question is, are you working on an album?
Yes, in fact, we just released a new song called Smooth Sailing. It's a retro song what do they call it, a baby boomer song. It's about, I wish I could go back to being 23 and the Motown era. You know, it's a really poppy, happy song.
Ooh,
but that's our next song that's coming out.
Smooth sailing.
Yeah, what do you miss about that era? Because this is a few references now that you made about, you know, back during that time. Is there anything that you miss about that particular era?
I love the music. I mean, even today, everywhere you go, you listen to the music. It's the 60s, the 70s, the 50s. I mean, it stays with us. And even the young people now, when they get our age, the music that's oldies to us, it's going to be their oldies, the same music. There was just something magical about the music. It was happy. It was poppy. Love grows where my rosemary goes. I mean, those are, Build Me Up Buttercup. I mean, those are great songs. And they're still around today, and those were songs that inspired me. So I miss that, and I try to bring that back to in my music so that people can experience some of those feelings that I felt back then.
You know, it is so nice to be able to connect with the older generation, like your grandparents, as you said, your parents, through music. You've already dropped pieces of little wisdom throughout the interview, but really, John, I want to ask you, for maybe a young songwriter or artist, what's your biggest piece of advice to them if they're scared of taking the leap to actually put themselves out there?
You know, I think we're all scared of being criticized, but, you know, you go to Nashville, nobody criticizes you. They give you advice. You know, learn the craft of writing. There is a real craft to how to write a song. And most people start off writing country songs and then pop songs. But if you learn that, you know, you're going to get to where you want to go. But I always tell people, find somebody who's doing what you want to do and then follow their advice. That's what we did when we went to Nashville. You know, we took the advice of some very prominent people, and we took all of it, and it paid off.
I love that, you know, and you also prove that, you know, no matter how old you are, that if you have a dream, you know, it does not matter how old you are, you can still pursue that dream and be successful at it, because John Michael Ferrari, you have been very successful at this. So congratulations to you on all of your achievements and all that you're still going to do, because it sounds like you have a lot more in store that you want to do as well.
I got more songs. I got a whole lot more songs.
Can you sing us a little something? Can you sing a little something for us?
I want to hear a little bit of the smooth sailing, just a piece.
Which one? When love is love, baby will know.
Oh, there we go.
No auto-tune, people, just the great sound of John Michael Ferrari. Thank you so much for joining the program. We have appreciated you more than you know.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate that.
Such a sweet soul, sweet spirit that you have as well. Thank you for your time today, sir. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So kind, so pleasant. It's always nice to talk to kind people.
You know, that's very much a true artist, because he's had a long, great career. He's humble, right?
Yes,
you know,
that's a big deal.
He's had a long career, and he's probably been on many, many stages, has many people who know his name, and yet he is just a sweet soul. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a good interview. Actually, we had a really good show. I'm still like on a high from the fashion.
Me too.
We got to do better on our fashion. Can we get a fashion designer up in here for these outfits?
Honestly, that's what we need, I think. That's the best way to promote the Fashion Week. Sometimes we have, you know, segments come on like fashion segments, and yes, they're cute, but that
was outstanding.
Any one of those looks.
Yeah, I would have worn right now, today.
My husband, I'd put in it. It was great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on, what's today, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Man,
again,
my days are crossing. Feels like a Thursday, like Caitlin said. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you on Hump Day. I know you eyeing this bag over here that they left. I see you. Don't worry. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, everybody.
Attention.